When young Sheldon first graced television screens, it offered more than a nostalgic prequel to The Big Bang Theory. It became a deep dive into the roots of one of television's most beloved and eccentric geniuses, Sheldon Cooper. But along the way, it became clear that the show wasn't just about Sheldon. The real revelation, the character arc of Georgie Cooper Jr. And now, with the first marriage spin-off in full swing, viewers are finally beginning to understand a question that's nagged fans for years. Why was Georgie so different in The Big Bang Theory compared to how we saw him in young Sheldon? Let's unpack it, not just logically but creatively. Because when it comes to the Coopers, logic rarely tells the whole story. A tale of two Georgies. In The Big Bang Theory, Georgie appears only a few times, most memorably in Season 11 when Sheldon needs his brother's help to convince the Nobel Prize Committee of his character's worth. Played by Jerry O'Connell, Georgie is rough around the edges, bitter, loud, and a little bit self-aggrandizing. He owns a chain of tire stores and constantly reminds Sheldon of the sacrifices he made for the family. It's a stark contrast to the teenage Georgie we've come to know in young Sheldon, portrayed by Montana Jordan. This version is goofy, loyal, and surprisingly insightful beneath a layer of Texan bravado. He's the family's punching bag at times, yet he's often the only one who can break the tension with humor or carry real weight when the family struggles. He's not perfect, but he's certainly more likable than the jaded older brother we meet years later. So what happened? The first marriage spin-off, centered around Georgie and Mandy navigating young parenthood, marriage, and adulthood in East Texas, might be giving us the missing puzzle pieces. A pressure cooker called life. From the opening of the spin-off, it's clear that Georgie is a man trying to find himself while also holding everything together. Fatherhood came too soon. Marriage was rushed. And despite his best intentions, Georgie is out of his depth. He's not a high school graduate. He's trying to build a business with a baby in one arm and bills in the other. Mandy is fierce and loving, but their life is far from simple. This chaotic environment is the crucible that shapes Georgie into the grizzled version we see in The Big Bang Theory. The spin-off doesn't just show Georgie struggling, it shows him sacrificing. He gives up dreams, time, and sometimes even his pride to ensure his daughter doesn't have the same kind of emotional instability he grew up with after the death of George Sr. In a powerful scene in Episode 4, Georgie looks at his newborn daughter and says, "You're never gonna feel like you're the last thing on someone's list." It's a small line, almost tossed away, but it's heavy with meaning. Because deep down, that's how Georgie always felt in the Cooper family. Second to Sheldon, second to Missy's charm, second to George Sr.'s football legacy, and never first in Mary's eyes. The missing father factor. One of the most emotionally resonant threads in young Sheldon is the slow-burning tragedy of George Sr.'s death. Georgie, as the oldest sibling, feels this most profoundly. In The Big Bang Theory, it's clear he harbors resentment towards Sheldon, not just for being the favored child, but for the emotional distance Sheldon maintained during their father's illness and eventual death. The spin-off begins to subtly uncover the trauma Georgie never truly processed. In a world where he had to become the man of the house before he was ready, Georgie lost his teenage years to grief and responsibility. He didn't get the luxury of pursuing astrophysics or arguing about string theory in air-conditioned lecture halls. He was changing tires and counting nickels. These layers of emotional weight are slowly surfacing in the new show, giving a human, even poetic, explanation for why the man Sheldon reconnects with later is so hardened. When humor is armor. The spin-off doesn't ditch the humor that fans expect from the Big Bang universe, but it uses it differently. Georgie isn't a walking punchline anymore. He's a man who uses punchlines to keep from breaking. In one episode, Mandy and Georgie fight over whether their daughter should attend church, reflecting their different upbringings. After a heated argument, Georgie quips, "I don't mind if she talks to God, but I'd like her to know her dad first." It's funny, yes, but also painfully real. This blend of sarcasm and sincerity becomes a trademark of older Georgie in TBBT. We used to think he was just gruff. Now, we see it's more like calluses after years of hard living. Bridging the canon gap. The spin-off may also be retconning, ever so gently. It doesn't deny the TBBT version of Georgie, but it recontextualizes him. Remember in TBBT when Sheldon tells Leonard, "My brother runs a chain of tire stores. I once caught him trying to launch a bottle rocket from our septic tank." At the time, it was meant as a punchline. But now, knowing what we do from the spin-off, that bottle rocket moment might be seen as one of the few joyful, rebellious acts Georgie had left in him before life demanded his full submission. The show smartly makes viewers reconsider every throwaway line about Georgie in the original series, giving weight to what once seemed trivial. A subtle redemption. Perhaps the most beautiful part of this narrative arc is the slow redemption of Georgie, not through dramatic speeches or perfect fatherhood, but through small, consistent acts of love. He messes up, he yells, he storms out of rooms, but he comes back, he learns, he listens, and he tries every single day. By the time we meet him again in The Big Bang Theory, he's a man with a past. But now, thanks to the spin-off, he's also a man with a story. And in a universe where Sheldon Cooper is the nucleus around which the world spins, Georgie is emerging as the gravity that quietly holds everything in place. Final thoughts. Television spin-offs don't always deepen characters, they often dilute them. But The Big Bang Theory's first marriage spin-off does something rare. It gives voice to the silences of the original show. It fills in the cracks with warmth, humor, and heartbreak. Most importantly, it answers the question we didn't know we were asking. Why was Georgie so different? Because life made him that way. And now, we finally understand.